Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. It's not Halloween, but it's going to feel a little spooky this week because joining us is Laura Ripoll, producer and designer over at Endflame, the developer of Ikai, a first person psychological horror game set in feudal Japan and inspired by Japanese folklore. Laura, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for inviting me to today's interview. I am really excited to do it.
Yeah, my listeners know that I am a huge fan of horror. So I kind of want to start with that, I guess, because your team is a first time. This is your first game that you're developing, your first
Yes,
official
it is the first
release.
game.
So I kind of want to know what drew you and your team to start with the horror genre. You're all
Well,
just fans of horror, or why did you settle on this specific genre for your first game?
yeah, well, we are all fans of horror, of course. If not, we wouldn't have done a game like so, because sometimes we get scared even during the development because we like to make jokes with one another, and maybe we put the monster in some place that the other doesn't expect it to be. So then we play with that and we enjoy developing it as well as playing horror games. But our main motivation was that we are only three, so we really had to think about what to do thoroughly because we have limited resources. So horror games were the kind of genre that we could do.
It's a really tough genre to get. I'm always curious. I've spoken to a lot of developers who make horror games. When do you know when something is scary and effective at actually scaring someone? Is it just watching your team and yourself react to how things are set up in the game? How do you know that this is going to be terrifying for someone playing the actual game?
Well, I don't know how other developers do, but we do it by intuition. I put it in the
Mm.
game, I test it myself, and also sometimes I don't tell my partners about it. So if I get to see their reactions, I know whether it will be scary or not. And also play test with friends. We try to recreate the mood to make it as similar as when the players will actually be playing the game as possible. So with a dark environment, shut windows, and everything settled to see their reactions.
Yeah, I think that would be the best reason for me to actually make my own horror game is just to give it to my friends to play. Like, here you go. I'm working on this. I want to scare you to death just for that. I don't care how it sells, if it's good or not. I just want to scare the people in my life. So Ikai specifically, it's not like we didn't get a lot of games set in feudal Japan. So it's a very different setting than most horror games. I feel most with this perspective go for a modern day setting in someone's house. So talk about the origin of this game, why this culture, why this setting, why Japan, go into all that for us.
We didn't want to do the same as always. We wanted to go different. And Feudal Japan is a theme that appeals us all. So we decided to try this type of theme. We didn't know if it would match the horror genre, but as we went deep into it, we saw that there were many legends and creatures from their folklore and that it is very rich. So we liked it a lot, and that's why we decided this feudal Japan setting actually.
Did the idea to make a horror game come first, and then you're saying to yourselves, where can we set this, where can we place it, or was the idea of we want to do something in Japan but we're not sure where exactly or what came first in the development scenario?
The horror game came
Mm.
first, then we decided the setting. We wanted to make something different, as I said, and we knew it should be horror. So we started the brainstorming like a house, hospital, and things like so until we came up with this idea that we all liked.
Did any of you have any intimate knowledge of Japanese folklore before you started to bake this game? Or were you just in your research and trying to find out what your horror game was going to be about, you came across this in your research and thought this would make a really great place to put in place our game?
We don't actually have a background, but I myself have studied Japanese for some years, so I know a little about the culture, not folklore specifically. Mm, but we got to know more and more things as we kept the research.
Yeah, I mean, I want to bring something up because I feel it's been happening a lot lately with a lot of developers who are tackling a culture that is not their own specifically. Like when games like Sifu came out or Ghost of Tsushima, they get criticized for, well, if you don't know that culture, you shouldn't be tackling it. But my stance is you've now learned about this culture in making a game. So what do you say to folks who feel like if you're not one with that culture, it should be sort of hands off for you as a storytelling device?
Yeah, well, we'd like to tackle the cultural things very carefully, and we put all our love into the game. So we want to be respectful with it because it is not our culture. But I think anyone could make a game of any culture that you like or you enjoy, because not even people who are native to that country know about their own culture or past
Right.
culture. You know, if you ask me for Spanish culture, I would have to investigate also. I mean, I know certain things, of course, but I don't have any background of historical research, and I'll have to do it from scratch also. That's why I think that we could touch any other culture, because you have to learn it from point zero, and as long as you make it with the respect it deserves, I don't think there's a problem.
Yeah, I can't imagine like going to like, because I'm Greek, so any like God of War, are there Greeks on your team? Are you Greek, sir? You can't touch my mythology or my culture. And there's so much media that takes from my culture, and I feel like I love seeing it exposed to the world, no matter who's making it. I want it out there. And I think the respect approach and the passion that's driving you to bring this, folklore to life is, people don't always see that part of it, but I appreciate that because now I get to learn more about Japanese folklore because there's not many Japanese folklore horror games, and here we are. So, what is kind of walk us through what the moment to moment gameplay is like in Ikai? It's it's first person game. Kind of walk us through what players can expect when they get their hands on this when it's out in a couple of weeks.
Well, it's a psychological horror game, so don't expect to find combat or something like that. We want the player to face the enemies, so it is not a typical psychological horror game, but they'll do it in a different way, because you'll have to write protective seals in order to approach the evil, but you cannot attack it. You'll have to go to find a cursed object, put the seal on it, and wait for it to have an effect. So that's the core of the game. Actually, you have to purify all the evil creatures until you finally get the objective.
Yeah, I was playing some of the demo and I had a hard time drawing some of the seals in the beginning. I was like, if I was being chased by a ghost right now, I'd be dead. Like, really shows how bad my artistic skills are. And she was like, that's not going to work. Please try again. I'm like, damn it, lady. So how does that actually work in the game though? When you're drawing the seals, how does that interact with the monsters that are sort of populating this world? How does that whole mechanic factor in?
As you've seen, when you are drawing the seal, you cannot see anything around you, and you have to be really careful of what's happening. So in the middle of the game, not in the tutorial, that's what you probably made
Yeah.
most of the mistakes, but in the tutorial nothing happens, but in the middle of the game you have to be careful and quit drawing, then retake the seal, maybe in the same room, maybe you have to look for another one where you think you'll be more safe, or at least more than in the other room. So you'll have to retake it and keep drawing and stopping until you get the seal done.
So I'm screwed, is what I'm hearing. 'Cause I feel like I can't if I can't draw it right in a calm, peaceful, no threat environment, I'm not gonna do well when there's pressure and there's things chasing me and I have to like draw a draw a symbol on a little piece of paper.
You'll have to go slowly, then stopping, retaking it. Yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
Where do you look for influences when you're making a game like this? Because it's easy, like I said before, when you place a game in a more modern setting, you have so much to pull from in terms of other games and even film that's out there to and to take and pull and make your game better. Where do you look to make a game in this setting, to make it effective, to make it a good horror game? What's that like for you on the creative side, that process?
If we are talking about a setting only, it will be an anime called Inuyasha, which is set in this exact environment, not in a shrine, but in
Wow,
feudal Japan, and it has
I
lots of
love
evil creatures.
Inuyasha.
Do you know it? I
Yeah,
also love it. So
that's a good
that's
one.
where we draw most of the
Mhm.
inspiration of the creature setting. And so it's not horror, but we wanted to make a horror approach to this
Mm.
type of setting because we think it
Wow.
could really work.
So you guys are a small team. It's what, three of you in on this team? How did you all come together? And what made you all want to pursue a crazy career in video game development? Because it's I've spoken to a lot of people. It's a hard thing to get into, even to get the game working and out there is a monumental effort. So walk us through what led you on this path to becoming a game developer.
Yeah, well, the three of us already knew we wanted to be in the video game industry because we studied the video game degree. So it's a university
Mm,
degree about video games. That's where we met. After so, we spent a couple of years at the industry until we decided to go and try ourselves because we felt like we weren't able to express that creativity because we were told to do certain things.
mm.
Although we enjoyed working in video games, it was not ours. So we decided to do our own and to create our own team in order to achieve this creativity and this possibility of making our own game.
Right, but having the degree is one thing, but what led you to actually say to yourself, I want to pursue a career? Was it like from an early childhood, like you were just into video games, you were growing up, or what made you want to pursue this like in your higher education as you were getting older to get a degree in game development?
You mean the reason for studying the degree or after the
Yeah, like
degree?
the whole what light bulb went off and said, you know what, I want to get a degree in making games. And what's the origin story of why you became a game developer?
Well, I think the common interest is video games, of course. and and I think also being keen on how do developers make games. It's not the same playing than developing it. And at least on my side, I feel like I've always questioned how could something be done in the video games I was playing as a child, and thinking, oh, this is so cool, I'd like to do something like
Mm.
so. And after investigating a little bit, I found out that there was a degree about it, and I said, let's go for it.
What is the game development scene like? You're in Barcelona, correct? If I'm That's where you're located. That's where you guys are based out of. What is that scene like in terms of support and a community of, because you go in the States, the West Coast, huge game dev scene, Canada, huge game dev scene. What's it like in Barcelona for aspiring game devs?
Uh, the indie dev community is really good. We all get along with each other. We try to do several events to gather together and meet new people from the industry. There are not many huge studios or games, although there are some, but we are most small indies, and it feels cozy and warm when we gather together. It's really good. We've got lots of talent here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this game, it looks gorgeous. What was it like when you signed on a publisher with this game? Because it's again it's your first game out of the gate and you find someone that's going to support you and believes in the game. What was that process like as a first time like big release, like indie game dev?
It was relieving. The most thing was relieving, actually, because we needed financial support. We are only three. We knew we wouldn't be able to make it without external support. A game like this, because although we knew that we could make a horror game in the light of the size of the studio, there are also some aspects that we actually had to hire from outside, like a voiceover, that we couldn't do
Mm,
it by ourselves, and other things, so that we needed someone who could help us out with all this. So it was tough, and we were like, okay, we have to find a publisher, there's no other way. Like, let's try and pitch everyone. And we made a research also on how to pitch a publisher, how to approach them, what will they look for, um, at what time of the project should we, or should we wait a little more, should we do
mm.
it at the beginning. It was tough, and we really felt really relieved when we got one.
Uh, did you go through a lot of publishers or was it just PM Studios was one of the first few that you guys reached out to? How did that whole thing come to be? Um was it a long process or did they just love the game instantly? Did it fit their portfolio, their sort of their catalog of games? How did that whole deal come together?
For me, it felt long because we
Mm,
wanted a publisher, but I know that in reality, it's not long at all. It was just a couple of months of meetings, emails, and all this stuff until we decided to go with PM. We had some offers. We had also some that we declined. Others said no, and others, I don't know. There were many publishers, many meetings, but it was actually in a short period of time. A couple of months it took.
what kind of terms are you saying no to? I'm curious because I feel like if I was in your position and I was trying to get financing, funding, and support, like if someone says yes, I'd be like, great, here, where do I sign? But like, what are the things that you look for that you could possibly warn other aspiring game devs to be on the lookout that this deal doesn't sound right to me? What kind of things are setting off alarm bells in your head
Uh,
when signing
my
with a
advice
publisher?
would be uh, get in touch with a lawyer. That's what
Oh
we did
wow, okay,
because,
okay,
yeah, that's what we did because we didn't know. This industry is not very transparent. So if you
right,
want to look through other contracts, you won't find almost anything on the internet. So you should go with someone who has seen actual agreements. So we contacted the lawyer and told him about the situation, that we were just the three of us, our first game, and to have it into account because we wouldn't like to the pressure to much to the publishers. We don't want to ask
right,
something that we know that we can't get if we are just the three of us with no previous experience in releasing any game. We had experience, but just in the university
right,
and a couple of years at the industry. So just be realistic, but trust some attorney to look at the contract before you sign anything, because you may think it's something normal, or that something is, I don't know, to that the publisher wants it on their own and you should take something more, and it's a negotiation process. So
mm.
just trust someone who knows.
Yeah, because I've heard some pretty like predatory stories where publishers want almost a whole piece of the pie from the developer. It's like they almost make you feel, some of them, that you should be lucky that they're taking a chance on you and that giving them everything is that
Yeah.
you're you're doing them a favor by giving them full control. Like, please, yes, just take it all from me. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your work. Just you own all of my intellectual properties and all of my
Yeah.
ideas. But yeah, that's actually good advice. Like seeking an, because
Yeah.
again, it's not most people. They feel like when, because the game dev is just one side of it. The marketing is a whole other beast altogether, and people forget that's a huge component of getting your game made and seen. And when you're so into the making of it, you could leap at any offer just to get it out there in the world because you're so focused on making
Yes,
the
you should be
game.
careful of who you are signing the contract
Yeah.
with. My advice was more about when you think that the publisher is the right one, but of course
Mm.
there are some red flags before you go to that process of actually seeing the agreement or the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for example, we found a publisher that was asking to us to share the repository with them, and we were like, we haven't signed anything, we should give the whole project to you. And yeah, we backed off. It's like we don't want this kind of publisher. So I don't know many red flags because it is our first game, but
Right.
just from our experience, this kind of comment already make us want to decline these offers. Like, show us your whole repository and certain things like so.
Well, I think that you made a good choice with PM because I've known them for quite some time. They're amazing people over there, so they'll take care of you and they know good games. So I'm very excited about this. Speaking of the game, what's more terrifying, the game itself or the fact that it's coming out in like 2 weeks? what's what's more terrifying to you?
The fact that it's coming out in a couple of weeks, yeah. Yes, it is, and because it is our first game, I guess we'll feel the same with the following ones, but it is the first. I don't know what to expect when I
Mm.
am expecting it to be released, so it's I'm very nervous about it.
So let's talk about that because I feel there's the excitement of you've been working on this game for however long it's been, and it's you're doing this full time. I mean, the three of you left what would have been secure jobs but no creative freedom to pursue this project, and now it's coming out there, and all these other emotions are kind of coming to the surface, like, oh my god, what have we done? This is happening, this is real. There's a release date, there's a Steam page. Walk me through all of that because I'm always fascinated by that end of it as well, because this is also the big part, is now it's out there, it's going to be out for the world to look at, to criticize, to
Yeah,
all that crazy stuff.
we've been through many phases. We've hated our game, we've loved it. And when we finished the game, it was like, I'll never play it again. I want to shut down everything that has to do with my game. Then later on, when you get like some news from your publisher that says, oh, it will come out physically or some other things,
Mhm.
then you retake it, you have a look at it again and say, oh, it wasn't that bad, it's good actually, my game, people will enjoy it. So you have these up and downs until we are now a bit nervous without knowing what to expect from our first game. I don't know if I'm happy or not. I'll have to wait until the release to get what's happening, like the Schrodinger's cat, more or less. I know.
Yeah, it must be hard to divorce yourself from the actual work you've put into the game to the enjoyment part of it, because you're playing and you're squashing bugs, tweaking things, fixing things, and something else breaks while you're fixing something else. So there's all of that emotional baggage that you have attached to this project. And now but you got to find the love also, because now it's out there and it's your baby, and you can't hate your baby. you know?
Yeah, I'm already feeling proud when I see at some stores that you can pre-order it, and it's like, oh, it's my game, and I can see it in my city supermarket and stuff like that.
What have the benefits been to releasing a demo on Steam? Because a lot of games, they forego the demo route altogether. You'll see a lot of extended previews, hands-on, trailer, then here's the game, and then people play it, and this is not for me. How has having a demo worked out for you in terms of getting feedback and improving the game? And do you recommend that most developers release demos for their projects?
It was very helpful for us. We could see reactions from people, and of course some feedback. We already knew some of the negative feedback because it was a demo, and it was at the very first stage of the game, so we already knew something that we would like to improve in the future. But there were some that we didn't have in mind and made us change a little bit the game, not change but tweak certain things, and it was really helpful to get playtesters without them knowing they are playtesters.
This
Yeah,
is
aside from
free
that,
labor at that point.
yeah, more or less, it's like you're gonna be my play testers because we
Yeah.
don't have as many contacts to test the
But
game.
then that's like,
So
I'm doing you a favor. I'm giving you this demo for free. It's like, come on, who doesn't love a demo? It's like
yeah, please work for me. Yeah, and aside from that, it was also really helpful when approaching to the publishers because we had some figures to show them,
Hmm,
like views on YouTube,
right.
videos of the gameplay of our game, also the type of comments that we were receiving on itch.io, and these things sum up to have a good pitch or presentation to a publisher, because without all of this we wouldn't have been able to prove them that our game is worth being a market.
Hmm. What was some of the least helpful feedback you received in the demo process? You were just like, why did someone write this to me? Why did someone give me this information? Why did they even bother?
Oh, we've had some strange experiences. There was a Japanese guy that he seemed really interested in the game, but he
Okay.
was writing things that didn't have sense at all. Like the color of the paint should be brown instead of red, or some sort of things like this. And we were like, oh, okay, it was just a demo. We'll try to make more research and maybe we'll
Wow.
change certain things. And he said, yeah, I'd love to see that. And also, and maybe some other random stuff like, I like these lamps better than these others.
It sounds like he was trying to apply for a consulting job. Like, oh, you're gonna this is all wrong. If you listen, bring me on the team. I'll let you know what to do, the right shade of brown to use for this one painting.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. um, I think it's a good point to now segue into some rapid fire discussion. Now, I always handle rapid fire for horror games a little bit differently because I kind of want to get a little bit more personal and on the topic of fear, especially. So, Laura, I want to ask you, what what terrifies you? What scares you? What image would keep you up at night?
I think it's the unknown, something
Hmm.
that you don't really understand. Like, I feel that it's a shadow can be scary, more than just seeing a human or just discovering what it is.
Hmm.
So I think what terrifies me the most are these things you don't know what they actually are.
Hmm. For me, it's being unhappy and my crippling night terrors that I get every once in a while. Do you believe in ghosts?
No, I don't, but I
Hmm.
love ghost stories
Oh,
and horror games and all
I
these things.
love
I
that
love them,
answer.
although I don't believe in them. I'd like to play these horror games. They sometimes pop up in the internet, like I don't know, calling a certain name at the mirror at 3 a.m. or
Oh
something like.
boy.
So I like to try this. I don't believe
So you're
that.
saying Bloody Mary in front of a mirror
Yeah.
and just hope for Candyman. If you were a ghost, what kind of ghost would you be? Are you more of a Casper the Friendly ghost, or are you like a poltergeist that's gonna totally fuck up some family's house and just drive them insane? Where do you see yourself on the ghost
Mm,
spectrum?
I think I'd be a naughty ghost, not
Mm,
an evil one, but I'd like
mm.
to play with people.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I wouldn't make someone want to kill themselves or their family or go totally insane, but open up a cupboard, move a cup, you know, flick someone's ear, whatever I can do just to like annoy someone. I have a long list of people to annoy, let me tell you.
That's totally what I do.
What job doesn't exist, but you wish it did?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I already have the job I want. So I'd say the typical one of trying mattress or something like
Oh, you
so.
want to be
I
a
don't,
mattress tester? That's what you want to do. You want
yeah,
to, people should bring you their mattresses, you to stay at home all day and they'll bring
yes.
you like, here, Laura, please just try this out. Give us your feedback. And you'd be like, no, this isn't good, guys. You got to take it back. Then they'll give you $1,000 and they walk away. And then the next one. I like that. I like that. It's a good one. Because I love sleep so much. Um, would you rather live next to an active volcano or a very poorly secured prison?
Next to an active volcano, I think.
So the active
Yeah.
volcano, is that what you want to take your chances on?
Yeah, I think so. I was thinking about the recent news of the
Mhm,
Canary Island. Don't know if
mhm.
you know what happened with the volcano. It's tough, that's true. But maybe you are far enough from the volcano so that it doesn't.
So you don't have lava surging through your living room at some point. Is that what the hope is? Like, okay, yes, there's boiling hot magma, but I live pretty far, so I'll be okay.
Yeah, I hope the volcano is a bit far from me so I don't get the effect.
Okay, how about this one? If one of your or both of your two other colleagues got a phone call from the local police department saying that you've been arrested for committing a crime, what crime have you committed?
What crime? It's probably something I don't know I have done, like something I've done wrong and I'm not aware of it.
Oh,
Like
so you
I don't
broke the
know.
law, but I didn't know that was a law. I didn't know
Yeah,
that was a
yeah,
thing.
probably this kind of, yes. Like, was this forbidden? I didn't know that.
I know that you could like steal someone's child or urinate in public, and no one told me this was a law. Or I could walk without pants on in the mall. No one told me these things. What household chore do you dread the most? What makes you just put it off until it gets really bad and it can no longer be ignored?
From which, I mean, from household.
Like doing the dishes, the laundry, vacuuming,
Hmm.
cleaning. What's like something you have to do in your
Uh,
house that you just don't like doing and you keep putting it off?
mm, I'd say the laundry.
The laundry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why it always accumulates. And when I go there and I see that many pieces of clothes, it like, well, it'll last hundreds of years to get rid of everything.
Is that why one of the first things I do in Ikai is I have to pick up laundry and clean it? I feel like Some of the subconscious is seeping into the game design there, Laura.
That's what makes the horror game actually.
Right,
It's picking up
right,
the laundry, not the other parts of the
right.
game.
No, forget ghosts and seals, and no, just doing laundry in feudal Japan with like down by the river with rocks. It's like the real hardcore shit. Would you rather have shoes that were made out of Lego or clothes made out of kiwi? So you have Lego shoes or
Both made out of kiwi.
very itchy clothes. Got it. Yeah, that is the answer. That is the correct answer. Let's see. What else could we ask here? Would you rather have an exact clone of yourself or have $1 million in cash?
$1 million.
Oh, no hesitation.
Yeah. No, nothing. I hate myself. If I had one like me. There's no need to be
I
too
don't.
loud in this world.
We don't want
Just,
more of me.
no. It's okay with $1 million. I won't complain.
Yeah, I go back and forth on that, and then my dog walks in. I go back and forth on that. Like, sure, I can have one more of me. More of me is great, but I think the other me would annoy me than it would annoy other people because I know me, I know my habits, and that would not
Yeah.
go over well.
I know that someone like me would annoy me because when I am stressed, I annoy everyone else. So imagine to stress people at the same room. No.
uh, Speaking about things that terrify people, like more of themselves, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I don't usually take it, but yeah.
Okay, all right, that's a fair assessment. Yeah, you're like nah, but you're not going to discourage it from other people from having it. Okay. Yeah, I've had some Italians on the show and like pizza makers, and they've been like, never. It just
Never?
absolutely never. They're very against it. So it's always a fun question to ask. What are, if you had the chance to work on an iconic horror game, like your game is released and you get a phone call saying, we love you guys' work. We want you to make the next Resident Evil, the next whatever.
The
What
next Fatal Frame.
Fatal Frame? Oh my
Yeah.
god. Fatal Frame 2 is one of the best horror games ever created. And I miss that franchise so much. It's sad that it's not sad, but sad funny that it kind of went down that, you know, it's so Japanese, these games now. It's just so much fan service and, you know, these like big titted girls. Like it cracks me up how much it's like
Yeah.
it went in that direction from a very serious horror game, but you know, it's just Japan. They love doing that stuff, so I really can't knock them for that. But
Yeah.
I
The weird thing was that they didn't do it before.
right. We got three really good serious Fatal Frame horror games before it went full on fan service. What is the dumbest way you've ever injured yourself?
Um wow, I don't know. I don't normally injure myself.
Mhm.
Maybe it was like trying um to break a piece of bread, but with my own hands, like, but I got a
Oh,
cut here.
like chop
Yeah.
it? Like
Yeah,
you
like
thought you
chop it
had
like
like
it like a karate. Yeah.
okay.
And yeah.
And how bad did you hurt yourself trying to do that?
No, it was not bad, but I didn't expect to get hurt with that. I mean, it's just
God.
bread.
My God, I think your ego was more bruised in that
Yes.
situation. Um, Last question I want to ask you, and it's one I always ask every horror game developer. What do you think most modern horror games get wrong?
That's interesting. I think that they don't want to work in on something new from the genre. They just do what has been done,
Mm,
and that's good because we have many good games as reference.
mhm.
But I think you should go different to create new games for the genre, and not just going again and again to the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like when PT came out, and then we have like 500 million PT clones. Some
Yeah,
are really good, but a lot of them are just, hey, this looks like that thing everyone was crazy about for like a good few months. Give me money because it's
yeah, but even the
kind of
good
like it.
clones, I think that people who have the talent to make such games could do something better, something
Mm.
new, and to bring fresh air to the genre with something a bit different from what has been done. You can take certain things, of course, because you won't do something really really good that has never been seen before. But you can take some things and make your own ones also.
Well, I certainly thank you and Enflame for bringing something new to the genre. And again, from the setting to all of it, it's really trying to carve its own identity in the horror genre. So thank you for that. So before we go, Laura, give us the final sales pitch, the social media. Where can we find the game? When is it out? Give it to me, baby.
Okay, the game will be out on the 29th of March,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be able to find it on Steam. You can also pre-order it right now on Amazon, GameStop, and yeah, it'll be out for consoles, which I haven't said, and it's also important. I'll get my copies for PlayStation. I love PlayStation, so that's the first one
See, I knew
I
you and
played.
I would get along. I mean,
Yeah,
aside from the
so
horror thing, I'm a just a tiny bit of a PlayStation fanboy. A wee bit.
yeah, but also for the Nintendo Switch.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. Again, the game looks phenomenal. I can't wait to get back into it and do some more laundry. I'm kidding. And best play the game with headphones because it's such a huge game change. I was just in my office last night with all the lights turned out low, headphones on, like at 2 in the morning. That was, I love it.
Yeah, the mood makes a difference.
Mhm. All right. All right, all you listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us this week. Please support our indie devs. They make awesome games, and those awesome games are always on this show. So please support them and support the show. And as always, please be excellent to each other.